I want to highlight some of the key aspects of the MegaLive installation, and you can see my MegaLive here, and if you look at my trolling motor, you can see that MegaLive is mounted on the right side of my trolling motor. MegaLive is so new to all of us that there's going to be a learning curve for me as well. And this first video is going to be about just simply the setup and getting ready to be on the water. And I am hoping, with the weather permitting up here in Ontario, that I will be able to get out and dial it in and get you one of those images and settings videos that I have done for all the other sonar devices on my boat, and that is going to hopefully happen soon. Incorrect installation of the hinge here, which is the two buttons and the hinge goes along here, could cause damage to the bracket. We will address that in this video. As part of the control head setup for your MegaLive, it is important that you understand whether this is going to be a port side installation or a starboard side installation. As always, if you find the video enjoyable or helpful, a like, share, subscribe is always very much appreciated. It's time to get this video started and make sure you are ready to go with your MegaLive once you get it, and here we go. Just a reminder that the G4Ns were released before MegaLive was out, so you will have to make sure that your software updates are at 2.660 or higher. And you can see on my YouTube channel the way to do the 2.660 update on a Helix unit. Look for this thumbnail on my channel, Steve Chasson Fishing. The MegaLive power has the two main red and black wires clearly exposed, and you will see in the upcoming pictures that you will need to expose the drain wire, which is down here. I do not recommend crimp-on type electrical connectors. I am a huge fan of soldering and shrink wrapping, and that is the way that I go. And once you have your red and black wire, will go into your ground terminal, fuse, block, however you have yours set up. Then you'll have the red going into your fuse panel, and then you have the black, and then you also have the drain wire going in so that it is grounded. And I've seen a lot of installations where that drain wire is not installed, and you can clearly see from the installation instructions that it should be installed. Here's the actual MegaLive power cord, and you will be able to see in this shot the drain wire is exposed, and you will add some black wire, solder, and shrink wrap to secure that connection. As far as the battery switch down here, I already have mine installed with a main power cutoff switch, so I did not bother with installing a battery switch. One of the key installation requirements for your Ultrex or trolling motor mounted MegaLive transducer is to make sure that the face of the transducer here lines up with the direction that the trolling motor is facing. Because if it doesn't, then when you aim your trolling motor, you're going to have no reference point as to where the MegaLive is aiming. So be careful that you get, once again, the face of this parallel to the side of the trolling motor. One of the things I also took into consideration with my installation was I left a 2-finger width gap right here, so roughly about an inch or so, and that was just to kind of keep it away from the head of the trolling motor to potentially avoid interference. On the bracket is a mark for reference here, and this is the D, so it is lined up with down. There's an F over here which is forward, and there's an L over here for landscape. And same thing over here. There's an F for forward and an L for landscape, depending on how you mount the transducer to the bracket. Just above the MegaLive, there is a loop right here, and that loop is created so that I can adjust the bracket so that it is in forward, down, or landscape position. Right now it's currently facing down. It is in the down position, as you saw indicated by the D underneath. The F stands for forward view, and you can see the position of the boat here and the range that it shows out in front of the boat. The D for the down view shows that it will show the front of the boat, but it will also show towards the rear of the boat. The L for landscape mode shows a wide perspective, very similar to the frontal view on the Mega 360. I personally won't be using the landscape mode much because the Mega 360 is on my boat and I love the detail on that, but it is an option for those of you certainly who do not have the Mega 360. This photo shows the loop that I was referring to right here, and that gives you the play to adjust this from forward mode like it is in now to down to landscape, and that's why that loop is there. The MegaLive is easily adjustable, and that is super helpful. Right now you can see it is on the D for down. I can easily click, and one click is equal to 10 degrees. And now I am shifting to forward mode. I click again, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, and 40 degrees. When I get to 40 degrees, it is lined up with forward mode. If I wanted to have a different adjustment, I don't have to rely on that. So if I was throwing a jerkbait or a crankbait or a topwater and I want to see more of the action towards the surface, I can continue to adjust that, and that would be at 50 degrees, 60 degrees, 70 degrees, 80 degrees. And right now it is pointed in that direction. If I strictly wanted to concentrate on top water, I could go further and I could adjust it up that way. So I have lots of flexibility in where I arrange the MegaLive, and that's really a super cool feature. When I first installed the MegaLive, I had it so that the landscape mode was down here by the prop area of the trolling motor, and I didn't like that because to me it was pretty close, and I thought maybe I might get some blockage from the front of the trolling motor. And in the manual it says that the recommended position is up top, and that makes total sense to me because it's further away from the prop area, you know, any turning, any potential interference down there. So this is the recommended position up top. Let's take a closer look at the marks on the MegaLive so that you have a complete understanding of what they are designed to do. We've already looked at the D for down, and we have it currently in the forward mode. So that mark on the bracket is right there, lined up with the F. And then when you click it one more, that is at 50 degrees. And if I open this up into the landscape position, you can see that it is angled downwards so that if you were looking at deeper water, you would get a better version of the landscape. So that is what that line there is for. It's designed for deeper water. If I continued to go to the next mark, then you can see now it is on the other line, and that is designed for shallower water. Of course, you can choose to change that if you want So you could go in between the two lines here, and you could go one more so that if you were in slightly deeper than shallower water, you get the idea. You have lots of options. To lower MegaLive back down, I simply press the two silver buttons and bring it back down into position. So at this point, I can adjust it back. You see that the cord has enough flexibility here, and this first cable connector is not connected. I just left that loose, and I attached up into the second one. I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but it is into the second one. And now, as I adjust it back into the different positions, there it is in the F position for forward, facing the front. And if I want to go back to vertical jigging into the original down position, there it is with the D lined up with the mark in the bracket. And it's that easily adjustable, which is awesome. Paying attention to the orientation of my trolling motor, this is obviously the prop at the back right here, and the direction would be going forward. And this would be considered, if this were deployed, this would be the right-hand side of the trolling motor. So this would be also considered starboard side. So therefore, this is a starboard side installation because it is on the starboard side of the trolling motor. And that's going to be some important information for your control head setup. Conversely, if I stored my prop on the port side of the boat and the MegaLive would then be mounted on the other side, which would be then considered a port side installation. Another aspect of mounting the MegaLive so that the landscape mode is coming from the top as opposed to the bottom is that you will notice that the two silver pins here that you press to open this up, the hinge closes this way. So this is the front of the motor right here. So this is the direction of travel that it's going. As the boat is traveling this way, the hinge is wanting to stay shut. If this was oriented the opposite way, the hinge would be forward and it would be wanting to open up against the flow of water against the trolling motor. So that's another aspect that you should consider when mounting the MegaLive in the proper recommended orientation. If you accidentally tried to take off with the trolling motor in the water and the hinge was on it wanting to open up this way, then I could see that it would put tremendous force on the bracket and potentially damage it. So it is a safety mechanism to make sure that you have it oriented in the correct position. Here's the back side of the MegaLive, and just so you clearly understand what I mean about the hinge. So the hinge is on the opposite side. There are the two silver buttons, and if the flow of water was coming against it this way, you can see that the bracket wants to open up. So therefore, having it in the other position is more desirable because the flow of water is going to be pushing against it and pushing it closed, as opposed to if I had oriented this in the opposite direction, then the water would have been coming against this. And that is why I would definitely recommend that you use the recommended landscape position, which is up top, as opposed to the bottom. Having the hinge on the opposite side of the prop being back here, the hinge on the leading edge or the opposite side, is a great way to ensure that the transducer is aligned properly and is not going to accidentally open up if you mounted it in properly. This perspective from the installation manual shows you down here that this is the recommended landscape mode with the MegaLive transducer up at the top, opposed to the optional landscape mode, which, as I've shown you earlier with the hinge, I do not recommend. So I am definitely striving for this, and that is what you saw in my setup. I was conscientious of the secured strap right here when I was mounting the MegaLive, so that I do have a 52-inch trolling motor shaft, so I had some flexibility in distancing, but I just felt that, you know, this was about optimal. I could have probably shifted it over here a little bit. I mean, it's slightly off kilter, but it's just fine. One of the things to consider when you are mounting the cable is to keep it away from the yoke here of the trolling motor. Notice that the cable is running between the two tips of the yoke, and you know, it will stay there, which is important. And that is, you know, just another consideration to protect the cable. These slotted, I'm not sure what they actually are called, slotted cable wrap holders or cable tie holders, they work great. You don't have to worry about pinching the cords because they have been designed to protect the cords. And that's just another upgrade that is going to help preserve the life of your MegaLive. Remember to only apply the cable ties to the molded anchor point. Your cables come through here, and you can see that your cable tie simply wraps around the slot there, and it's a very creative way, and I really like that upgrade. For my installation with the MegaLive, I have used 1, 2, 3 cable ties, and that is how it is mounted to the trolling motor, and obviously the clamp part of the MegaLive is securing it as well. Utilizing some polyethylene split loom, and I've just put little pieces of electrical tape on, I can help protect the MegaLive wires, and I still want to leave enough cabling, leave a loop so that the motor can turn in any direction freely, and I will measure that out. But it's just another added degree of safety by adding some of the split loom to protect the cables and avoid interference as well. The two connections for the MegaLive, the Ethernet connection and the power connection, are distinctive from the Mega 360 connection, so you don't have to worry about mixing them up. I am using 3/4 inch split loom, and I've left enough here to try and cover the wires as far down as I can. And once again, just added protection. Probably not needed, but better safe than sorry. I will take you on a quick walk through the operations manual, highlighting some of the important things that you should be aware of to operate and maximize the use and effectiveness of your MegaLive. So you will see some basic information here, and one of the things, speed, it is intended for use at trolling speeds only. Obviously we don't want you to damage the unit. Of course, you need to be aware of obstructions. Powering off, there is a recommendation to have some type of switch, and this is the one I want you to pay the most attention to, that there is a process to setting up the control head properly so that your MegaLive will run, and that will be things like, do you have the correct software update for Helix? Are you at 2.660 or later? And you also need to make sure that the control head is set up so that you can avoid the unit potentially freezing up, as I know some people have expressed that concern on some of the forums. User error in most situations can be avoided by proper following of the instructions in the manual. This includes the instructions in the installation manual as well as the operations manual. My first time out with the MegaLive, I had a very limited amount of time, but I had read the instructions prior to going out, and of course, like anybody else, you know, you want to get out there and you're excited, you turn it on, and I had some of that freezing. And then I remembered from the operations manual, I remembered that you had to do some settings first. And I would like to compare this to, when you install an Ultrex and you have to calibrate the motor so that you can get your spot lock and everything working properly. It says here for set deployment depth and installation type, it says this section will guide you through the following control head setup instructions: setting the installation depth, the port or starboard, and the AHRS, and selecting the landscape orientation for landscape mode only, which didn't really pertain to me. But these first two in particular, once I remembered, okay, I need to do this first, and I went to the control head and I did those adjustments, then lo and behold, the helix did not freeze anymore. So was it the helix or was it user error? Well, obviously in this case, because I was excited to get out there and use it, it was definitely user error. You see I have started the installation depth and the port and starboard installation, because once I did that, then my helix worked well and the MegaLive worked well for the brief time I had out on the water, so all was good. For the installation depth, I set mine at 3 feet since it is the depth of the water from the surface to the MegaLive imaging transducer, and I am running a 52-inch shaft Ultrex, so I guesstimated at 3 feet, and that was what I used. As I mentioned earlier, you would need to know whether you have a port or starboard side installation, and right down here in this section, after you've done the depth, then you would look at this one, and mine was a starboard side installation because it was on the right hand side of the trolling motor. The AHRS, you have the options of off, on, or on pitch and roll. And the AHRS on will automatically select the orientation of the transducer, down, forward, or landscape. And if you select on pitch and roll, it will help stabilize the bottom of your sonar returns. The setup for the control head for MegaLive is a very simple process. I'm going to hit menu once, I'm going to hit menu twice, and I am going to be looking for the accessories tab. If I happen to be on a different tab, I just have to scroll over to the accessories. I'm going to go down to MegaLive. I'm going to right click on it. I can see the pinging is on, but this is what I'm looking for, is the MegaLive installation down here. Let's quickly go down to that, right click on it, and you can see that I have already done this, that I have my installation depth at 3 feet. It is a starboard installation because the transducer is on the right hand side or starboard side of my trolling motor, and I have the AHRS on. Completing this simple MegaLive installation control head setup eliminated any freezing in my helix unit. The MegaLive operates much like the Mega 360 in that there is a wet switch on the MegaLive, and therefore it will not operate out of the water, so you'll get a message similar to this: MegaLive disabled out of the water, if you try and operate it while it is not deployed. Here is my Mega 360, and if you look on the top side of it, there are 2 silver dots right there, and they are the wet switch that activates the Mega 360 when it is deployed into the water. And coming to the MegaLive, you can see that there are 2 dots just like the Mega 360, which are also the wet switch, and it will not work unless it is deployed into the water. Following the instructions is always an important consideration, and if you have your helix in a multiple Ethernet network with a 5-port Ethernet switch, it does say if you are powering on a control head in a multiple control head Ethernet network, power on the control head that is connected to the MegaLive imaging transducer first. I am not 100% sure why, but they have definitely put it in there for a reason. So definitely a consideration to take when you are powering up your units. The MegaLive transducer will connect to the control head automatically once it has been added to the view database. And to find MegaLive, just press and hold the view key, and when you have your sonar options come up, then you go down to MegaLive view and right click on it, and there you will have your MegaLive set and ready to go. If you have done all the proper updates and set up the control head properly, you will be good to go. To find the MegaLive view, simply press and hold the view button down, and you are going to get the sonar. And once I press sonar, then I simply go down here and I can go into my MegaLive view, and there it is. And there's that message that it is disabled because it is out of the water and the live switch has not been activated. Hitting the power button will give you the option of turning the MegaLive pinging on or off, and you can also turn your 360 pinging and turn it on or off if you wanted to potentially check for interference issues between the two. Another way to access the MegaLive pinging on or off is simply hitting the express menu for MegaLive, and you can see that it is on and you have all of your options there to play with. And you will need to access that in order to dial in the unit, and that's certainly what I am planning on doing, is playing with those settings to get my MegaLive so that I am getting the best possible images. Another reason why printing the manual is so important, because upon reading further, it says that waypoints can be marked in any mode, so that tells me that I should be able to mark in forward mode and down mode, but they can only be displayed in landscape mode. By reading the manual and following the instructions, it is going to allow me to maximize the use of my MegaLive and truly understand what it is capable of doing. And it's just a great routine to get into, is printing the manual, reading it before you get on the water, and then tweaking it on the water by following the manual when you need to refer to it. I am excited about getting on the water to do my settings and images video. As you have seen from earlier videos on the channel, I have done 2D, I've done down imaging, I have done side imaging, and I have done Mega 360 images and settings, and I have a playlist. And those of you that have watched those, you will know that contrast and sensitivity are the key adjustments. And this video has been more about getting prepared to get on the water, and I am certainly excited about getting out there. I will show you a brief clip that I did on my first time out, but as I say, I had an extremely limited amount of time. So I got some perch on Lake Simcoe just on the bottom, and I definitely have a lot to learn, and we will work through that to dial it in on the water. And hopefully you have enjoyed this video, and as always, if you have enjoyed the video or find it helpful, a like, share, subscribe is always very much appreciated, as are your comments or questions. Here we have some perch on the bottom, and you can see they're hugging pretty tight at the bottom. And this is my first test out with the new MegaLive. As I woke up to snow on the ground this morning, I am hoping that Mother Nature is going to give us the opportunity to get out there and get that MegaLive dialed in. It is getting to that questionable time of the year, so let's keep our fingers crossed. Thank you for watching, and that's a wrap for this video. Take care, and bye for now.